The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
Yep. Welcome to a special episode of the Benjamin Dixon Show. I am, of course, Benjamin Dixon. Not breaking news. It's been news now for several hours that Joe Biden has picked Kamala Harris as his VP pick. And really, I just want to provide a platform for you to be heard. So you can join the conversation by calling 857-600-0518 if you want to join in the conversation and let your voice be heard. Like, there's a lot that I'm feeling about it that I don't know, maybe you could pry it out of me by joining the conversation. I'll say what's really on my mind. For the most part, I've just been clowning. I've just been joking about it because I think I knew the entire time that he was going to pick Kamala, right? I'm pretty confident the entire time he was going to pick Kamala Harris. And you know what? It could be worse. He could have picked Pete Buttigieg. You know, he could have picked Pete Buttigieg or Amy Klobuchar. But here we are with Kamala Harris. So I want to get your conversation. I want to get your comments in the comment section. I could pull you over onto the live stream and let the people see what you have to say. But we got callers already. 857-600-0518. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question?
Ben, is this me?
Caller?
Ben, is this me?
Yeah, you're live. What's on your mind?
Oh, hey, what's up, Ben? This is Infinite Content from Twitter. I was watching all the commentary, and it seems like Mehdi made a comment about what it.
Hold that thought. I want to check and see. Audience, can you hear the caller? I don't want to go too much further. I want to make sure that the audience can hear you. And actually, we lost that caller.
We asked you to let us know that you're not a voicemail system.
You
so you need to press 1 to take this call.
Old school style. I finally figured out what's going on here. I kept wondering, like, where the hell is my caller? My callers are in this headphone. Okay, great. Let's try this again. So, caller, you are live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question? You're live.
Hello?
Yep, you're live on the air.
Oh, what's going on, Benjamin? This is Greg from Detroit, Michigan. Big fan of your show.
Thanks, man.
I guess I'm like almost like everybody else, just like, okay, whatever. Joe Biden picked Kamala. What else is new? One side of me is happy that he picked a black woman. The other side is like, well, she was a prosecutor. She did all these things in the Bay. Locking people up for marijuana. Doing locking people up for truancy. She's just done like a whole lot of ish, but at the same time, she's probably a good person, like a good, genuine person. But when it comes to policy, she's just horrible.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, I appreciate the call. Apparently there's something going on with the calls getting cut off when other callers call in. So I'm going to tweak that as we do the show. But I agree with what I did hear of the caller. Is honestly, I'm trying my best. Like, if I actually said what I really thought, then I'd be labeled as a sexist, because that's what we're getting ready to face. We're getting ready to face a whole lot of criticisms of anyone who has a legitimate criticism of Kamala Harris. That's what we're getting ready to face. And I think the difficult thing about it is that there's valid critiques of her. Now, however you decide to prioritize those critiques, that's your business, right? To me, I think it is critical that we get rid of Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump is like a gun to our head. Everything else kind of comes secondary to that, right? Because if we don't get rid of Donald Trump, like, all jokes aside, this is no hyperbole. I think it's reasonable for us to see that there would be at least 500,000 people dead from COVID-19. But that doesn't mean that we actually like Joe Biden. It doesn't mean that we actually like Kamala Harris, right? It doesn't mean that we're okay with their style of politics, nor are we going to just sit back and sit by and allow them to shape the world in a way that we don't approve. I mean, and what we're getting ready to face is going to be quite a bit of criticisms of anybody who has anything to say about Joe Biden, anybody who has anything to say about Kamala Harris. Eventually, it's just going to be outright sexist to say something about Joe Biden, because they're going to attribute it that, even though if you're criticizing Joe Biden, they're going to attribute that to Kamala Harris. So you're going to be sexist for saying something about Joe Biden. And all that, set aside, the fact of the matter is that she and Joe Biden represent the very best ticket to maintain the status quo, to, beat Donald Trump, get us back from the ledge, right? Get us back from the outright apocalyptic scenario that is Donald Trump. But that's it, right? I don't feel like there's going to be anything substantive with regards to any type of significant change. So let's try question. All right, here's a question in the chat room. Oh no. Do you think the Democrats can cure COVID? No, I don't think that they can cure COVID. Let's be real, right? I think there's a vaccine. There's a potential for a vaccine, but they're not going to cure. But what they're definitely going to do is not be the death cult. The Republican Party is a death cult. All right. So please, let's do it like this. Don't make me have to defend the Democratic Party. Okay. Not tonight. I just don't have the stomach to defend the Democratic Party tonight. But I can tell you that they would not be a death cult trying to send you back to football games with no mask. Okay? All right. I'm sorry. Just don't make me just don't make me do that. Somebody said, why is Trump apocalyptic? I'm not even going to discuss that. Let's get back to Kamala Harris. I do want to risk taking another caller because I really set up the stream to hear from you. So let's try it again. 857-600-0518. I want to get you in on the conversation and get your voices heard. And we'll go from there. Respect, but they're trying to reopen schools. But they're trying to. Okay, exactly. They care. Carlos Speed. Here we go. Caller, you are live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question?
Hi, my name is Mark Smith, and I'm in Oregon. Anyway, I was I agree. It's like even though I'm in Oregon, I'm committing to I'll fill out my little oval that votes for Biden and Harris because whatever. But it's like I'm all about like getting more progressive voices out there. I mean, I've been following like Twitter themes and streams and so forth, like talking about like, hey, maybe we can get Barbara Lee or Ro Khanna in for Kamala's seat and so in California. And it's like, it's about the fight. It's like, come on, we need to like really care about one another. I mean, because I'm in Oregon, but I'm here for all of you. I'm gonna continue to fight and do everything that I can and so forth, and so that's where I'm at.
Hey, thanks so much for that call. I understand your position. And again, 857-600-0518. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I am not going to lecture you if you don't vote for the Democratic ticket. There's plenty of people who are doing that. I don't have to do that. I don't plan on doing it. Only time I'm going to judge you is if you vote for Donald Trump. If you vote for Donald Trump, then I got some words for you. Caller, you are live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question?
Yo, my brother, what's going on?
Hey, is this Bryce?
Yes, it's me.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm at work right now, hustling this, go working in this pandemic, sadly, but got to pay the bills. Anyway, so Harris, oh my God, Jesus Christ. It's just not a good look because I know people that I know in California was hitting me up, but just like, no. Like, I mean, she's just bad. I mean, she used her legal wits. Well, I say that wits in a quote way to keep her conviction rate high. Like the stuff that she did is just like, Jesus, it's like, really? It's just not a good look. It's not a good look. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know. I mean, they still might win by default because Trump is so bad. The Republicans are so bad.
Yep. Bryce, we lost you there. Next caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question?
Hello, Ben. This is Jonathan Hawkins, all the way from Brookhaven, Mississippi. Man, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Brookhaven, hometown. What's up, bro?
Yeah, hometown, man. What's going on, man? Hey, man, I just want to give a point out because I'm not.
You know what? This is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do it the old-fashioned way. I try to get fancy with the Skype calls. But what I'm gonna do is I gotta just change one quick setting. I want to make sure that nobody else gets interrupted. So bear with me 1 second while I make some changes on the Skype call, and then I'm gonna come right back to you. Do not go anywhere. This is just my opening music. This is how fast I'm gonna get it done.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
All right, it is done. It is fixed. Now, if you want to join the conversation, you can. 857-600-0518. I'm pretty sure we got it now to the point where you will not get interrupted by another caller. Let's go right back to it. Caller, you are live on the air. And before you speak, caller, I want my homeboy from Brookhaven, Mississippi. I'm sorry you got disconnected, but you're the hometown. I grew up in Brookhaven. I want you to call back as soon as this caller is done. Caller, you are live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Hi, my name's Diana, and Biden picking Kamala, I just keep thinking back to, like, the last few months, all the protests, and the way that public opinion has started to shift on the police, and this conversation about criminal justice that has really started to take on a lot of steam, and Biden has just shown, like, absolutely no ability to meet this moment at all. Not only does he have a horrible record with criminal justice, but then he goes and picks Kamala, who was she basically cited in that article talking about why her campaign failed, that she was surprised that people didn't like her prosecutorial past, calling her a cop and everything. I mean, for him to pick someone like her, like, with that same baggage, just like absolutely no awareness, no ability to meet the moment at all.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much for that call. 857-600-0518. If you want to join the conversation, you can. So I mean, you look at the moment. You look at the moment that's happening right now. This is most certainly a moment of how can I put it? This is going to be a very strong criminal justice Democratic ticket. Okay, to say the least, this is going to be a strong criminal justice. Like, this is, if you were a 1994 crime bill and you wanted to wage a war on crime, this would be the ticket that you would choose. Caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Hey, Ben, it's Solomon.
Hey, man, what's going on, brother?
Hey, I love the setup, man. I love the setup.
Thanks, man. We're trying to do a little something. What's on your mind,
yeah.
brother?
I just wanted to, I guess, try and contextualize and historicize as best I can what I think is happening, just kind of contextualize it in time and space. I saw someone made a comparison of what's happened in this election, this primary contest, this election so far, as kind of similar to what happened in the post-World War II UK era with Attlee and the Labour Party. With his ousting, it was basically the last moment for a declining empire to kind of say in its decline, we're going to at least leave a sliver for its working people. And it's caused a kind of rethink of what I'm not saying the complete invalidation of politics, the national electoral politics, but I think in terms of strategy, it does cause a moment of pause and reflect. 'Cause, I mean, there's possibilities for people like AOC and others in the future
But I think I mentioned to you, I mentioned it to everyone I can think of, with Kamala and Biden now, there is no hope of any kind of climate policy worthy of stopping us from reaching over the 2C bench line, the 2 degrees Celsius bench line, and going into 4C, which is just global catastrophe. And that gives us about 20 years to kind of build the kind of militant left and socialist left that can contend with a world that is dealing with that kind of crisis. Because the center can barely hold as it is right now with this kind of crisis. There's no way it can hold something even bigger than that.
Yeah.
So
no, that's no. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It really causes me to think what it is that we need to do. I see there's people saying we need a People's Party, DSA, separate Black movement parties, but it's caused me to think a lot about the fact that both Malcolm X and MLK, one of the things they agreed with each other the most without even talking to each other about it, was they both saw that either the white liberal, the white moderate, as the main obstacle to progress on the front for liberation of Black people and just oppressed people abroad. We're stuck in a bourgeois democracy where who wins the Iowa caucuses, who impresses them at the Iowa State Fair eating corn dogs can affect whether Palestinians can live in a free country 3,000 miles away. And if we don't have a strategy to either dismantle that system or take it over within the next 20 years, there's really not there's a finite end to this game now because of the foreclosure of any meaningful justice on the climate front. Despite what anyone in the Sunrise Movement might try to tell you about pushing them left, that I'm just not very hopeful on that front. But it's definitely, I think, time for us to think about what kind of action we're taking and how we can unify in reaching that action fairly quickly. But I've been rambling too much.
Yeah. Solomon, thanks so much for that call. You could join the conversation, 857-600-0518. I'd like to hear I'd like to hear from everybody because I think it's again, I'll have plenty of opportunity to say what I want to say on the podcast. Go download the podcast, iTunes, patreon.com/the BPD show. I'll say what I have to say there. I want to hear what you have to say. 857-600-0518. Caller, you are live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question?
Hi, this is Brian. I'm from Queens, and I'm a huge fan, first-time caller. Congratulations on the live TV setup.
Thanks,
I wanted to get your thoughts on, I guess, and I know it's hard to predict the future, but my concern about Kamala being the VP pick is that it sets her up as the favorite for 2024, and she will be a formidable person for progressives / the left to beat, and thus we won't have the possibility of a progressive president for another 8 to 12 years. So I wanted to get your thoughts on strategy and likelihood of how to effectively take that task on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thanks for the call. So here's something that my partner, Mundell Robinson, who does the show Clickbaity with me, and here's something that he said that I think is really relevant. Kamala really represents. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that she's going to be the favorite in 2024 because of the demographic changes. The boomers are on their way out. You know what? I mean, the boomers are literally on their way out. And the older generation X, whoever they're going to vote for. But it's really about to be an electorate that's made up of millennials and an electorate that's made up of Zoomers. And the fact of the matter is that they are far more radical than even me, right? So if you think that my politics are particularly radical, you haven't seen anything yet. So I think the Democratic Party in general is going to have a hard time maintaining the excitement with somebody like Kamala. Now, they'll beat, I think this is the ticket to beat Donald Trump. I think if he had picked Pete Buttigieg, it would have been a wrap. If he had picked, what's her name, Amy Klobuchar, it would be a wrap. If he had picked, basically, I mean, what? I don't know who else, but I think they can beat Donald Trump. I don't think that the Democratic Party can maintain power because the demographics are just changing too much. The younger generations are just far more radical. And I'm not talking about one or two people. We're talking about damn near the entire Zoomer generation. They're growing up to be communists because capitalism has pushed them that way. Let's take this caller who's on the air now. Caller, you're live. What is your name, comment, and or a question? You're live.
Sorry. Hi, my name is Brendan. I had a question, not to put my tinfoil hat on too much, but do you think that the Democratic Party is almost trying to lose? Like it just doesn't make sense, this VP pick of Kamala. Like it just seems like they're almost just giving a middle finger to anyone who kind of takes that progressive viewpoint. It's kind of what it feels like, and I'm just amazed that this is where it ended up. I mean, I wouldn't have been pleased with someone like Susan Rice, but I thought that was more likely the decision that was coming. But I mean, just, to put my tinfoil hat on a little bit, do you think they're trying to lose? Because like I just don't get it.
No, I don't think they're trying to lose. Yeah, thanks for that call. I honestly don't think that they're trying to lose. I think that they actually have a winning ticket when you look at Biden's biggest shortcomings. He was really having a hard time with the black community because deep down in his segregationist soul, he just couldn't help but say racist things. Kamala's not going to rally the black community entirely. There's going to be plenty of criticisms from the black community. So this is not to say that she's a shoe-in with the black folks, but I think it helps. I think if he had picked somebody like Pete Buttigieg, who literally has zero support amongst the black community, that he certainly would have lost. So I don't think it's the case. I don't think it's the case that they are going to lose. I think they're going to beat Donald Trump. I just don't think that they have longevity. I don't think that they're going to be able to maintain a coalition as boomers start to die out. Let's take this next caller. Caller, you can turn down your computer or whatever you're listening on, and tell us your name, comment, and or question.
Yo.
This is you. You're live. What's your name, comment, and or question?
What's up, man? It's your boy Skiz Bebo.
What's going on, home T, man? What's going on, bruh?
Ain't nothing. Man, I just wanted to, bring it back. A lot of people asking questions about, Kamala and Biden. I know their record ain't what we need, but I just feel like I need to remind everybody that Trump is that, existential threat. We got to make sure we keep our eye on the prize, and I feel like that's super important, and I feel like we can't lose sight of that, critiquing Biden and Kamala Harris. You know what I'm saying?
All right. I feel that. Hey, man. Appreciate you listening to the show, y'all. This is my homeboy from high school. We go all the way back to Pompano Beach, Florida, the Four Horsemen. You remember that jump, man?
Yeah.
Hey, man. Hey, I appreciate the call. And I'm gonna
on my wall.
You got that picture, dog? Take a picture of that picture and text it to me, man. Hit me up in the DMs. I don't know if you got my new number. All right, man. Thanks. I'm going to elaborate on what you said, though, for sure. So I want to be sure that we talk about that. Again, I got my beef and my gripes with Joe Biden. Every morning I wake up, I'm like, am I really going to vote for this clown? And then Donald Trump does something that makes me say, we got to get rid of him. I think it's plenty of reason, justifiable reason for anybody to vote for this ticket, if for no other reason but to get rid of Donald Trump. It doesn't stop us from having some serious problems with this ticket. I honestly, I don't even know what to say. It's such a bad spot to be in. It's a shame that America's in a place where the only choices we have is between a madman who's going to get us killed and an aging, dying Democratic Party that literally doesn't want it to do anything to make our material conditions different. But it's like we literally do have, let me take the literally out. We have a rhetorical gun up against our head that could literally kill us. The rhetorical gun is Donald Trump's handling of COVID-19 and the Republican Party's willingness to push us out back into not just back into the pandemic, but back into the pandemic with masks being politicized. It's a political thing for you to wear a mask. Everywhere I go, the people who I see not wearing a mask, when I was in Atlanta, if I went anywhere to any store, it was like 99% of black people had on their mask, and here comes a white person. And all it takes is one person not wearing a mask. That's because it has been politicized, and they make political statements about not wanting to wear a mask, and then they become the super spreaders. And so it's not just that the Republicans want to push us back into the pandemic. It's the fact that they want to push us back into the pandemic without masks, creating the conditions for the most of us to die, right? For so many of us to die. And here's the thing. Black folks, we are disproportionately affected by COVID-19 in every single state where you see people dying. Black people are a disproportionate portion of that group that's dying. So this is the rock and the hard place that we're stuck between. We're stuck between a rock of a sociopath who's really only concerned about his ego and the Democratic Party who's really only concerned about protecting the political establishment. That's the score. You make your decision. Caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and/or question?
Hey, my name is Gabe. I'm in Oakland, and I have been. When I heard he was going to pick a woman, and it was a black woman, I was hoping it would be Nina Turner, and I was so against Kamala. But I also was part of that Twitter movement the last week or so about no comment under 100,000 K. So my whole feed is so anti-Kamala that I'm tripping, and I'm kind of I'm finding myself buying in. So I'm getting brainwashed by the mainstream right now to support Kamala because I think I just have to. But one thing that she did was say $2,000 per month stimulus. And I'm curious, why did she do that? Does she really mean that? Because that's a good thing, I think. And it's so hard to trust her, but I am going to vote for them, but I'm going to say I'm not for a long time. Anyway, I thank you so much for your I thank you so much for your guidance, man. Your moral clarity, your intelligence. It's really, really helpful, man. Thank you.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. 857-600-0518. Like my homeboy Marcus Farrell said, he said he's going to vote for Biden, but he's going to bitch about it all the way to the polls. And again, I'm not going to judge. Only time I'm going to judge you is if you vote for Donald Trump, then I got problems. Then you and I, then you got to see me, man. If you go and vote for Donald Trump, you got to see me. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, comment, and/or question?
Hi, my name is Saoirse Kenny. I have been absolutely no way am I voting for Biden all along, but I'm appalled by Kamala, but I think we most of us saw this coming. But the thing the thing that's going to make me vote for the reason I am going to vote for them, God help me, is because of COVID.
Yeah.
And like you said, how it's disproportionately affecting people of color. If it was, that makes it so much worse. And Trump has the ability to launch a nuclear weapon at North Korea, China, Iran, whoever he gets in his mood to do. And I'm surprised he hasn't already. I'm terrified of that. And so. There we go.
Thank you so much for the call. 857-600-0518 is a number to call to join the conversation, or you can leave your message in the chat room, and if I can read it and it's something dope, I will put it on the screen. Whether you agree with me or not, listen, I want you to call in if you have reasons that you actually like Kamala. I want you to call in. I'm not going to attack you. If you have reasons that you absolutely hate her, call in. I'm not going to attack you. I might just happen to agree with you. Caller, you are live on the air. Do me a favor, cut down your computer or whatever you're listening to me on and tell us your name, comment, and/or question. Yes, caller, this is you. You're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and/or question?
Hey, how you doing? This is Greg from Cleveland.
Greg from Cleveland. How's it going, brother?
Hey, man, I'm a big fan, man. I appreciate what you're doing. So what I wanted to ask is, I feel like with coronavirus, it gives us a reason to vote against Trump. However, I feel like Kamala is. I feel like his strategy is to just like go in on Obama, and Kamala's the new Obama. She's so articulate, And so the question that I have is, when we look at our elected officials and like what their voting records, at what point do we as a electorate take voting as a statement of character? So like if we know that it's bad, like at what point, like I feel like the fact that people are dying is a real thing, but at the same time they're not good though.
Yeah.
Like we're voting for bad. And we're voting for like Kamala, like she's articulate and she's attractive and she's like the clean, exceptional Negro. But is it cool though? Like at what point is it like no, like you got to be for the people, you got to be about that. But we're gonna vote for a cop, a prosecutor who's clean though.
Greg, I just want you to verify. Greg, do me a favor and verify for the audience that you are black of some kind of African descent, right?
I'm super black.
Okay, thank you. I knew it. I knew it because you said Cleveland, but I just wanted the audience to know because we can talk to each other a way that our white allies can't talk to each other. But you facts on facts on facts, man. I mean, I agree. I agree with what you said. It sounded like you wanted to get one last thought in. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to say, like, I mean, I have been thoroughly like propagated in my own way to have a certain type of soft spot for a Kamala Harris, because like I've been brainwashed my whole life to be Kamala Harris.
Yeah, that's right. Word. Yeah.
But at the same time, 2016 taught me like I don't want to vote for Hillary Clinton. I know exactly who she was. I know exactly who Biden is, and I don't want to vote for him. I'd rather vote for Howie Hawkins, and I barely know him, but I believe that he's about what he's talking about. And at some point, like, when is there accountability that we got to vote our interests and give our interests a shot in a democratic system?
I would say this. Let me say this while you're on air. I would say that your conviction tells me that that's the way you have to vote. You know what I mean? You got to go with your conviction. I'm not in the business of trying to change someone's conviction. I'm actually in the business of people like being convicted about the right thing. And I think you are convicted about the right thing, right? I don't feel like there's anything about, there's only one thing that me personally, I'm about in favor of this ticket, is that I think that they can beat Donald Trump. And I feel like Donald Trump is an existential threat. I want us to be able to leave our houses before the next 2 years is up. I fully believe that if Donald Trump is president again, that we will be stuck in quarantine, self-quarantine for at least another 2 years. That's because he's a fucking moron who weaponizes ignorance and he's more concerned with his ego than anything else. That's my personal conviction, and that's what I'm operating based on. I applaud you for your personal conviction, not trying to change your mind about it, but I just wanted to see your thoughts on what happens if Donald Trump wins again. And again, I'm not trying to change your mind. I know that you thought this through, and I want you to air it out, your thought process, if Donald Trump wins again.
Yeah, and there's another point, though, Ben, and I appreciate you, but it's the point that Biden's got to get on television and debate this guy.
He may not make it through that.
He could completely demolish. And what would that do?
Yeah.
What would that do?
I mean, at that point, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. At that point, that's not on us. That's not on us at all. That's on the Democratic Party for pushing him as the pick. But like, if I just keep it 100, Joe Biden in that last debate with Bernie Sanders clearly was was full of something that made him perform really well, and I'm
You
confident.
think that he was coked up just like I.
I don't know if it's cocaine as much as it was. He was definitely on a shot of adrenaline, if nothing else. And they're going to give him that same shot beforehand. But if he doesn't perform well in the debates, that's why I think they picked Kamala, because she's going to overperform. I think she's going to devastate Mike Pence in the debates. And so they're really counting on. If you look at the flyers, they have flyers out right now, and who do they have in the front? They have Kamala out front. So I think that they're really running this as Kamala as the primary ticket, and a lot of people are going to see it that way. That, and one last thing, and I'll take the next caller. Everybody's baked in. Like, you're either voting for Trump, or you're voting for Biden, or you're abstaining and voting for third party, or one of those things. People have made up their minds. I don't think the debates are going to change that in any substantive fashion, with one exception, which you said. If Joe Biden gets out there and is completely incoherent and incapable of even finishing the debates, then I think that might be the only game changer in the whole conversation. But God forbid, because I can't, I can't afford, man. My family can't afford another 4 years of Donald Trump, because we'll have COVID-19 for another 4 years. Fucking around with that, man. 857. Thanks for the call, brother. 857-600-0518 is the number to join the conversation. A lot of comments. I'm trying my best to keep up with all the comments in the comment section, because we're getting comments from Twitter, we're getting comments from YouTube, and we're getting comments from Facebook. Unfortunately, I'm not getting the comments from Instagram, but Instagram, I want you to know that I see you, and thank you for watching and tuning in. Somebody, a couple comments, Harris is a strong debater. That's what I've heard. That's what I've seen. And, she's a prosecutor. That's what prosecutors do, right? She's going to cross-examine the hell out of Mike Pence. The real question the real question to me would be, why the Democratic establishment? No, I'm going to answer my own question. I'm going to ask the question, then I'm going to answer it. The question is why did the Democratic establishment not just go ahead and pick somebody like Kamala Harris as the primary pick, as the primary pick? The answer is it's because nobody else could beat Bernie Sanders except all of them coalescing around one player, around one candidate. And so they risked everything. I want us to be clear. I'm not going to relitigate the primaries, but to be clear, the reason we're in the position that we're in now, where we have an older gentleman who, honestly, if we're honest with ourselves, this is not to be ageist, but Joe Biden is on his last leg. And the reason we're in this position now is because really he was the only person that could beat Bernie Sanders. They couldn't risk it with Kamala, Pete, or anybody else. So that's my take. A couple of comments in the comment section. I love this one. With your powers combined, Joe Biden. I didn't read the last part. I really hope he doesn't lose to Trump. But we'll see. Illusion of choice. I like this comment. Let's take a look at this one. He said, illusion of choice. And I think they'd see everyone get super pissed if that happened and they chose for us. And I mean, that's kind of where we are. We're in that kind of predicament that we're in right now. Tenula Mack on YouTube, I believe. Yep, she said, 100% Ben, it took the whole establishment Democratic Party to beat little Bernie. And I think that's the thing. Like, if we look at 2024, Kamala's not a guarantee. I mean, anybody would be foolish. Like, how many boomers are not going to be here between now and 2024? And boomers are really the core of the Democratic Party. And so as the younger generations, like, we're at a generational shift. And I think we can't underestimate the importance of that generational shift that we're facing. Because in a very substantive fashion, the divide that you saw in 2016, but especially in 2020 in the primaries, was a generational divide. We are fundamentally different than our parents. Our politics are entirely different than our parents. I said this on the show earlier, we simply cannot afford to be with the establishment, to be with the status quo, to support the status quo. We can't do it. And the reason we can't do it is because we don't have all the trappings. Millennials, I'm an older millennial. I'm like right on the edge of a millennial and a Gen Xer. But millennials and Zoomers, they don't have the trappings of the capitalist class of the Zoomers. Like if you of the boomers rather. If you're a boomer, you owned a home. You own a car, you could afford to take a vacation. You weren't rich, but you had retirement, you had pensions. Like if you think about your grandparents, if your grandparents worked until they retired, they still get a pension right now. Our generation doesn't have that. Our generation doesn't have, and because we don't have some of those basic things, you're seeing us become more and more radicalized in a very significant fashion. We are more radicalized. And so I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Kamala is going to automatically be a shoo-in in 2024. But I do think she's going to be the first woman president, because I don't know how long Joe Biden, if he's going to make it through the entire first term. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question?
My name is Colin, and I don't know if I agree with why Biden is the nominee, but I do think that what's really depressing about the choice is that it makes clear that he is not interested in grooming, for lack of a better word, a super progressive candidate to sort of grab the mantle in 2024.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it sets up. So I mean, it definitely stops the bleeding if Biden wins, but it really potentially sets up a bad internal fight within the left in 2024 between Harris and whoever is the real progressive candidate. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's short term may be good, but again, it's sort of like kicking the can down the road.
I agree. I don't want you to go. I want to ask you a question, and I mean, feel free to answer if you want to, but you said that you don't agree with why Biden won. I'd love to hear why you think he won the primary.
Because I think Bernie had a bigger public persona than he ever has in his entire political career. And he didn't win. And, I think obviously when Klobuchar and Buttigieg dropped out at the same time, clearly that was not a coincidence. And obviously the establishment, if you look at the New York Times profile video of Harris that they released, it literally treats her prosecutorial background with like a 3-second clip and then moves on. So clearly Bernie was fighting against that, but it's not as if he was censored by Twitter or, he had so many avenues for getting his message out there. And unfortunately, he didn't get the most votes. And so I don't know if it's fair to say that, I don't know. To me, that gets too much into discussion of can we trust the elections because there's bigger forces at work that really have control, and that becomes a little too conspiratorial, I think.
Okay. I can feel that energy because you know me, if you listen to my show any amount of time, I do not like conspiracy theories. But I still think but I don't think that's a conspiracy theory. I think it's a clear-cut case that the establishment pushed Buttigieg out, and with Buttigieg out and Klobuchar out, it's a pretty easy road for Biden there. Caller, you are live on the air. And do me a favor, cut down your computer or whatever you're listening to me on, and tell me your name, comment, and or question.
Hello?
Yes, this is you.
Oh, hi. This is Daniel. This is my first time calling. I just want to say I'm a fan, man. You kind of got me radicalized.
Appreciate
No, for real, man. I'm a millennial too, and I'm just like, yo, man, forget this. Anything's better than capitalism at this point. But I just wanted to say though, like everyone else, I'm kind of irritated and disappointed about the Kamala Biden ticket. But the one thing that worries me is what nobody, especially mainstream media, is talking about. Nobody's really talking about what Trump is about to do should he lose the election. That's what scares me the most.
What do you think he's going to do?
I don't know, man. for one, he'll just probably just flat out deny it.
It's worked for him before, so.
Yeah, that's true. But man, anything that could inspire his little sycophants.
Yeah.
Just
yeah. Yeah. No, I feel that. I feel that. Hey, man, listen, thanks for the call. I got a lot of callers calling in. I want to clear up the lines, but appreciate you calling in. 857-600-0518 is the number to call if you want to join the conversation. Area code 704, you are live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or a question?
Oh, for real?
This you're on the air. What's your name, comment, and or a question?
Okay, all right, yeah, cool, yeah. Hey, yeah, this is Blaine from Charlotte.
Hey, my brother, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Yeah, this is my first time doing this live shit, so I wasn't sure. Yeah, man. I was just gonna say, I had just been thinking about this whole thing. Got in a little trouble with my cousins on Facebook over like how I felt about Kamala Harris. So I basically said F Kamala and really explained to them from my perspective, I'm pretty much tired of like voting for a president generally just because it always ends in some sort of like bloodshed, and I thought about it in terms of internationally and here and internationally. I just feel like I can't do that anymore, and vote and everything. Just knowing what the hell they did, what the Democrats did to get to this point, just to maintain that kind of mindset. I was like, shit, I can't be part of that. I can't be part of like them possibly droning kids, and for what? For Kamala would possibly be the first black woman to do that shit. And so my cousins got on me about not thinking about not voting, and so she said, one of them says, if you don't vote, you're voting for Trump. And so I'm like, okay, shit, if I don't vote and Biden ends up winning, do I vote for Biden? Hell, I'm gonna still say hell no. And so anyway, just the gaslighting on top of like the idea of like I'm basically either choosing like the fascists or the people who supercharge the police state to rise to the fascism.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? Either way, like I just feel like I'm fucking over somebody using my vote that way. Sorry for all the cursing.
I feel you, brother. I feel you, Blaine. Hey, man, thanks so much for the call. I appreciate it. Next caller, you are live on the air. What is your name? Actually, this is you, caller. You're live on the air, 404. What is your name, comment, and or question? Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question?
Oh, hey. Yeah, I think I had the video back, but I'm Ben from Atlanta. From a Ben to another Ben. Hey,
what's going on, Ben?
It's going well. I've been a long time fan. I think that you I heard another caller say how you radicalized them, but I think I kind of got de-escalated from my level of radicalism from finding you. I was definitely one of those more hardline.
I usually don't have that effect on people, man. Most people, most people who listen to me say I pushed them over the edge. But interesting.
Oh, no.
Tell me more.
Yeah, well, I'm Gen Z, born in '95, so like the first year, I guess, technically of that generation. And I went through, of course, the .com, burst, the '08 crash, and now the COVID depression. And I'm completely fed up with capitalism at this point. But listening to your show, you provide a lot of really great points of view, and sharing the same name, I was like, maybe I'll listen to what he has to say. But today, really about the Kamala thing, I'm actually coming in from an even less edgy left perspective, because I think that Kamala's background as a prosecutor is kind of a good thing for her. It's something that we kind of dogpiled on her for being a prosecutor, Kamala, all those things, etc. But
right.
I think that she's like one of the few Democrats I think that actually knows how to fight back, and not in a passe way. Like I think she went to Howard, she went to HBCU. I don't think she takes fools lightly at all.
Right.
And so I think that's her best weapon against fighting against fascists. Basically, at this point, is that there's going to be a lot of things to be done on the ground and institutionally, and that she can handle the institutional parts probably with a well-picked cabinet, etc. And she won't be afraid to have those fights, I think. So I think that's going to be something really useful. Other things are problematic with the prosecutorial path, but I think her being like a fighter might actually be a good thing for us. So.
All right. Thanks for that call. 857-600-0518. I apologize to everyone who's trying to get through. We've got a crap ton of callers tonight. So we've got about 800 people listening across the different platforms. So we're backed up a little bit. And Trish said, "Gush later, namesake Ben. Stick to the topic." So she doesn't want any fandom going on. Let's just get to the core of the matter. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question? 305, Miami-Dade County. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you great. No, you're fine. What's on your mind, man?
Oh, okay. My name is Ryan. I really appreciate your show. I just want to say that. But yeah, I was just wondering, it seems like there's so much focus on economics. I just want to see, how do you think we should talk about economics? People who supported Sanders and stuff like that, a lot of people are scared by the word socialist and stuff like that. Should we be pointing to Nordic countries, stuff like that? I don't know. I just want to get your take on that.
Yeah. Thanks so much. I think that's a really important question in context of going forward, right? We're going to have a hard time. We're going to have to fight against the Democratic Party even harder, right? Now, this is me. Do you? All right, everybody do you. This is me. Like, my number one priority personally, because like I've said before, and I'm going to say it again, I think Donald Trump keeps us in COVID a lot longer, and I think a lot more people are going to die. I think it's not hyperbole to say that 500,000 people could die if Donald Trump gets reelected, because he just doesn't give a shit. And the Republicans have politicized wearing masks. Now, once he's out of office, I'm all hands on deck, not trying to push the Democratic Party to the left. I don't think that's going to work. I'm all hands on deck fighting against the Democratic Party, because on economic issues, they have shown that they absolutely have nothing in common with the average working person, period, right? We should have known that back in around 2000 and I forget what year they made the Bush tax cut permanent. So I don't want to call out the wrong year, but it was a Democrat who made it was Barack Obama who made the Bush tax cuts permanent. And I guarantee you, Joe Biden is not going to roll back the 2017 taxes, right? So we're going to have to fight the Democratic Party just like the Republican Party, and we're going to have to fight like hell, because we are in a crunch. Our generation is in a totally different situation, and I'm sorry to anybody who's like, that's not the time for this right now. Let's talk about how we're going to beat Donald Trump. You're going to beat Donald Trump because he's got a fucking gun to our head, and he's going to kill everybody if he doesn't lose, okay? Now, let's talk about what happens the day after we beat Donald Trump. You still got a lot of people who can't pay their bills. You still got a lot of people who are working 50, 60 hours a week and still can't pay their bills. And so we have to talk about the economic condition that most of us in this country are in. Most of us are hanging on by a thread. Most of us are working full-time jobs, multiple jobs. I've had as many as 3 jobs at one time. I know somebody who had 4 jobs at one time, and we were still struggling. All right. So the truth is that this political establishment, no matter which party, Democrat or Republican, does not give a damn about our economic conditions. And I think that's just the plain truth. You can speak about it in that language. And if people are afraid of the word socialism, then you know what? Let's live long enough to see them die, because they probably will. They're probably boomers. And I hate to be ageist. I'm sorry about that. You're live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question?
Oh, me? Oh, my name is Kaylee.
Hey, how are you?
I'm nervous now. You just made me spill my weed all over my bed. Hold on. No, like, long time Twitter follower. You see me being angry sometimes, and now you see me freaking out. Okay. Anyway, as a millennial, I was at work when the whole, oh my gosh, Biden's new VP thing came out, and I'm just like, I'm bored. Like, I'm so irritated. Like, Barack Obama had me for 5 seconds, like, yeah, we can do this. Bernie had me for 1 full year, like, yeah, I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna, like, go knock on people's doors and shit. And now I'm just like, I'm over it. Like, I'm sorry you chose another cop. Oh, wow, I'm so excited. Like, yeah, sure, she can pretend to, like, dance along with a bunch of kids. But, like, at this point, bro, you're gonna die. She's gonna be president. And what a weak ass way to be a president. Like, you just rode an old white man all the way to the top. He dropped dead. And it's like, look, I'm the first. And it's like, you didn't even, like, what am I getting out of this as a black woman, truly, other than just like a little trophy mark? Like, I'm not really into the Hillary type shit where it's like, oh, look, like, broke the ceiling, take a picture, like, do some photo ops, make a funny, catchy phrase or whatever. And I'm like, at this point, like, my mom got brain damage, lost her job, had no health insurance. We lost our house. Like, that's been my entire life type thing. Like, it's just consistent in my life. My mom was out there doing charity work with 2 jobs, going to college, taking care of like 6 kids at one point. Like, I don't care. I'm sorry. I'm not celebrating tiny shit. Like, I'm out here. I gave most of my COVID stimulus money away. Like, I was out here like, oh, you need help? Here you go. Have some help. On Twitter, I was going through like multiple different things, passing it out. And I'm like, what were you guys doing as Democrats, truly? Like, I'm over here doing essential work, got COVID, starved for 3 months, got my $1,200 check, gave that shit away.
I'm sorry, you said you got COVID?
Oh yeah, I got it in March.
Oh man, how are you doing? You sound great.
Well, I sound great. I couldn't breathe for a hot minute. I was out of work for 3 months with no money coming in. I thought I felt better. Like 4 weeks in, decided to walk to the grocery store, sweated through all of my clothes. But now it's more like lingering stuff, like suspicious random things that are happening. Like, I still have no interest in food. Breathing wise is okay, but then some days it feels like I'm swimming and it's just like the mask is covering my mouth while I'm cleaning bathrooms at work for these people who don't like wearing masks. And I'm like, y'all don't want this. Like, stop being stupid, please, because I almost died alone in my apartment. Stood up too fast, lights went out, and I went down. Like,
damn. Well, listen,
and I see the
sis,
comment,
you
you need
sound.
to stop smoking, but I don't smoke often. I'm just without
Actually,
money, so I can't.
there's a study that came out that said the resin that marijuana leaves in your lungs actually has been protecting people from COVID-19. So keep smoking, sis. Thanks so much for that. Thanks for the call. I got to greet these next callers in. I really appreciate it. 857-600-0518 is the number to get in. There's so many comments. A lot of you guys. But I knew. That's why I wanted to do the stream. Like, it is well past my bedtime. But I definitely want you guys to be heard because, like I said, I will say everything I need to say on my show tomorrow. 857-600-05. Sorry to the caller that was my fault. I accidentally lost you. But here we go. I think I got you back now. Caller, you are live on the air. 857-6. Nope. You're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Oh, my name's Brian from Fort Myers, Florida. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for the call. What's on your mind?
Absolutely. I wanted to know if there was any positivity that you could see out of a Trump re-election, anything at all. And I do not rock with Trump at all, like at all. But I just wanted to see if there's any positive, because we already know the bad stuff. We already know, want to get this guy out. Good, cool. But is there anything you can squeeze out that would be, okay, at least he can provide this? Because it's such a bleak thing with the others. And And I've been, Democrat or whatever, left leaning my whole life. I'm 35. My whole life. Traditionally, as black people, we're always voting left because of whatever reason, longer topic. But yeah, do you see anything positive coming out? That's my question.
Okay, thanks for that call. Yeah, I do. I see one thing positive that could come out of a Donald Trump re-election, and that's the fact that we'd have to burn this motherfucker to the ground. Honestly, I swear to God, that's the only thing. We would have to, and when I say we, I mean me. I'm not gonna talk about anybody else. I don't push people to do nothing that I'm not gonna do myself. So when I say we have to burn this motherfucker to the ground, I mean Benjamin Dixon. I'd have to dispense with this idea, this fantasy that I have that I'll be able to sit outside and barbecue while my kids jump on a trampoline if Donald Trump gets reelected. Because did you see what he did during the uprising in Minneapolis? Right? Did you see his authoritarianism? Did you see the totalitarianism? The fact that he wanted to he wanted to usurp the Constitution to crush our rights, our protesting rights, right? So the only positive that would come out of Donald Trump being reelected is that I would finally forget about the fact that, forget about the idea, the delusion that America is actually sustainable, and I probably would embrace full-on communism and just join the revolution. Like, shit, I probably would start that bitch. So, let's hope that doesn't happen, because I got a nice little grill. I got a nice little trampoline. I got a small backyard that's like the size of some of y'all bedroom, but I squeezed a whole ass trampoline in that motherfucker, and I'm trying to be as peaceable as I possibly can. But, you never know. Donald Trump might actually win a re-election. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question?
Hey, Ben. This is Bryce from Memphis.
Hey, Bryce, what's going on? Thanks for the call.
Hey, no problem. But I just want to say that I'm a big fan. I saw you do your thing on the channel. I saw you do your thing on TYT. I'm real proud of what you're doing out there. But
thanks.
So I just wanted to address the Bernie or busters real quick, because until pretty recently I was one of them.
Okay.
I went to school, got my bachelor's, got my master's, got very, very, very high debt. And then I got into a passenger seat of a car and got into a car accident and broke one of my fingers and ended up owing $13,000. So with all that, I was ready for Bernie,
Yeah.
But then the Democratic establishment did their thing, really just shut them out, jumped them, and I was ready to just burn it all to the ground. I'm not voting. Fuck it. Oh, excuse me.
No, you
forget it. But yeah, but then people, and I forgot for a minute, we forget how close to the precipice of a lot of dangers we are in if Trump gets another 4 years. He has been slowly withering out of democratic institutions. He's, over the past couple of months, when he thinks he's going to lose, he has sent thousands of unmarked, unnamed people in unmarked vehicles out into the cities just to pick up protesters, scare them, and take their IDs. He's been talking about delaying the election, messing with mail-in ballots. He's been loading all of our institutions with far-right judges. In a few years, we're going to get a bunch of those crazy articles of people saying oh, this guy tried to steal some water off of someone's porch. Now he's got jail for life. And we're going to wonder why, because we forgot what Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump did. So when I see all these people saying that they don't want to vote, I get it. But it's just frustrating as all hell. Because, talking about my student loan debt, you have Betsy DeVos who profits off of our debt in the education department. You have an oil tycoon in the EPA. It's just cartoonishly insane. And I just want to remind people what's at risk here if we don't vote.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate that call, man. 857-600-0518 is the number to get in on the conversation. I see you guys like this late night show. I see this is when the ratings are great, so maybe I'll keep doing another late night stream. Listen, I'm torn. I'm literally torn. I have to remind myself every day. Literally, I have to remind myself every day of the stakes in this election. So if you call in, this is why I'm not giving just about anybody pushback. Because if you call in and you tell me the most important thing for you is to get rid of Donald Trump, I get it. If you call in and you tell me that you just can't possibly see yourself voting for Joe Biden, I get it too, because every morning I wake up, I got to remind myself that Donald Trump has to go, because I have no enthusiasm for the candidate at all. But at the same time, Donald Trump really I already said, I'm not even going to say it again. Caller, you're on the air. Let them hear from you, caller, because they're tired of hearing me. Hey, what's your name, comment, and or question?
Oh, this is me?
That's you. You're live, brother.
All right. Hey, this is Frank from Olympia, Washington.
Thanks for the call, Frank. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so while I have utter disdain for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, I'm going to vote for them anyway, simply because I think voting for them and putting them into office is a perfect chance to expose the hypocrisy of the Democratic Party. I don't think these economic conditions are going to change here over the next year to 2 years or 3 years. Mm-hmm. And when people continue to take to the streets, they would have to be convicted, I would hope, to at least listen to the complaints of these people out here. And right now, the ideals of the Democratic Party, they don't match that cry for help.
Right. No, they don't. I'm interested, though. I would like for you to expound on why you think we would be able to hold them accountable and expose their hypocrisy if they win. Tell me more about that.
Well, so right now, as I look at all the news articles and stuff, especially about Kamala Harris, it's not really anything about her history. It's more or less about her being a black woman, the potential first black woman president, right? And it seems like right now that the biggest hang up in the Democratic Party is this sort of diversity versus structural change dynamic that exists. And so I think allowing at least the masses, the mass of people of color to see exactly what the Democratic Party means by diversity, it does, and that it doesn't really mean structural change. I think it'll definitely start to, I would hope, turn the tide towards more progressive candidates and more of a cry for help for more progressive policies rather than just going head first for say like a Joe Biden or Kamala Harris.
Okay. All right, I can see your argument there. Appreciate the call, brother. 857-600-0518. If you want to join the conversation, you can. A lot of great comments going on across all the platforms, and I've been sharing them on your screen. So even if you don't want to call in, you can leave a comment in the comment section. Let's give this about 17 more minutes. I'm going to cut the stream at 11:30, and then we'll start again tomorrow. But I do want you to go to patreon.com/the BPD show. Support the show, become a patron. Or at a minimum, if you can't become a patron, make sure you go and subscribe to all of the platforms, particularly the podcast. Go and download the podcast. If you can't become a patron, download the podcast. Caller, you are live on the air. If you do me a favor and cut down your computer, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Hello, this is Christian. I'm calling from Brooklyn. Ideologically, I definitely don't agree with Harris. I would consider myself much farther left than anything the Democratic establishment has to offer. But I did want to get your insight on how you feel about Kamala as a strategic choice, and if she really expands the voter base or the support base that Biden has. I really don't see her doing that. I feel like the people the type of people that would support her were already going to, support Biden. And, another thing that's really a problem in this country is voter participation and how people lack the desire to go out and vote. And I'm not sure if they really see, electoral politics as a means to realize their economic conditions. I know at many jobs I've seen people, almost be more invested in Forex than transforming their economic conditions through unionizing, which has been completely destroyed by both wings of the establishment parties.
All right,
And
let me hold you right there, caller, because I want to clear up the line. Let me answer your first question. So to answer your question is, do I think that she expands the voting? I think she stops the hemorrhaging. Joe Biden was on his way to lose, for sure, and I don't think I don't think Kamala expands it much, if at all. But I do think that he stops the hemorrhaging. Because listen, imagine if he had picked Amy Klobuchar. That would have been a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Like Pete Buttigieg, like people who had like negative polling numbers. Pete Buttigieg actually had like 0% of black support. And then Joe Biden came out with all of his racist comments. He can't help himself. And so I think Kamala does a pretty decent job of, matter of fact, when he said on Breakfast Club that if you don't support him, then you ain't black. That's when I knew, okay, it's pretty much going to be Kamala at this point, or even maybe Stacey Abrams, because he's got to fix that. Because if he had not picked Kamala or like Stacey Abrams, he would have lost the black Democratic establishment vote, right? He would have lost like those super voters that helped him win South Carolina. He would have lost them. Now the real question is that enough for him to win the general election? We'll see. And the reason I'm skeptical, like I need them to win, because enough people have died from COVID-19, right? But I'm skeptical about that because 50% of white people have already said they're going to vote for Donald Trump if the election was today. Donald Trump has a small lead amongst independent voters. I don't see Kamala actually adding to that. I think any measured, reasonable critique of Kamala would say that she really doesn't help him with the independent vote. And then, of course, people making over $75,000 a year, Donald Trump led in the polls in that area, and I don't see Kamala pulling away from that. Donald Trump is winning with men. I don't see Kamala helping in that area. So I think in some of those key demographics, independents, men, and across the board, like I don't think that Kamala actually expands. But what Kamala does actually stop the bleeding of Joe Biden's ignorant statements. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, comment, and/or question?
Hi, my name is Diego. I'm actually from Aurora, Colorado.
Okay, how's it going, man?
I hope you're doing well. I had a couple questions. We've had a couple protests here, and I'm really wondering what your thoughts are on what our signs should say. Should they say defund? Should they say abolish? Because I know that abolition should be our goal, I feel. And then my second question would be, do we need that political leader in this country to accomplish the goal of abolition, kind of like that MLK, that Malcolm X? Is that necessary? Is that the reason we haven't really accomplished anything major, because we don't have that major leader or that major message to focus on?
Yeah, great question. Thanks for that. So to answer your question, I think you go out with abolish the police. I have been one to say defund the police, because I've been saying defund the police as a way to push the conversation. Push the Overton window, to expand the Overton window. But the real way to expand the Overton window even further is to go all the way and say abolish the police. Here's the other reason I think you should say abolish the police. It's because both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are in league with police unions. And if the police unions have a place at the table, then by all means, the opposite, the counterbalance. There's no real counterbalance. Bringing somebody to the table who says we want to reform the police, that's not a counterbalance to the police unions, all right? Let's just be sure. If you want a real counterbalance and a measured result, if you're going to triangulate, then you triangulate with the people who say, okay, we're with the police unions, and the people who say abolish the police. So the abolish the police movement has to be at the table. In terms of there being a leader, I don't think this is a moment for a single leader. Leadership has been democratized. And so there are going to be several leaders. There are going to be multiple leaders with different factions who are going to lead in these generations to come. The time for one single leader at the head of everything, that time is done. I want to address a comment that I just played on the screen for you. They said, Ben, do I really think Joe Biden the Kamala helps Joe Biden with the black vote? I want you to hear me clearly, because what I said very specifically is that she helps him with the super voters, the black super voters, the people who vote in any election, every election, the older black crowd, the black boomers, the black Democratic establishment, the black misleadership class. Like, I don't know how many ways I got to describe it, right? It's not black people across the board. It is, it's a very specific group of black voters that were getting ready to abandon his ass themselves, right? Because he was writing checks that his ass couldn't cash. And I think Kamala absolutely helps him with that group. It doesn't take much to satisfy that group. Hey, caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and/or question?
This is JP from Marietta, Georgia. How you doing, Ben?
Doing good, JP. Marietta, Georgia. Used to be my stomping ground. What's on your mind?
Oh, all right. Yeah, I actually moved out to Powder Springs, but I lived there for so long that I still say I'm from Marietta because I guess I am. But anyways, so I've been trying to find the bright side in the Kamala Harris pick because, I mean, I'm, progressive is taking it saying it lightly for me, obviously. But in trying to find the bright side of the people who were seriously considered, I would have loved, of course, Nina Turner or Barbara Lee or somebody like that, but I didn't really think that they had, a chance fighting.
I actually thought Barbara Lee for a hot second. I actually thought Barbara Lee had a chance, but that was mighty naive of me. Go ahead, caller. I'm sorry.
Yes. Oh, no. Of course. Yeah, I had my hopes too, but then they were quickly dashed. But for the top few being between Gretchen Whitmer and now Susan Rice being talked about, recently, I thought that would have been disastrous. So I think that he was a better pick than would have been with Susan Rice, but still I'm not incredibly happy. But I also do think that hopefully Kamala, way back at the very start of the primaries of the establishment pick, she was actually my favorite of them because I felt like she was the most plastic and moldable, and if she got the right people around her, like if Bernie stayed around or if she had AOC or any good climate activists or people around her, that she could be pushed to make the right decisions more so than an Amy Klobuchar or even Joe Biden, obviously. So,
I thought you were going to mention I was nodding in agreement. I nodded my head in agreement because I thought you were going to mention the fact that at the very beginning of the primaries, she was actually the first person. I'm trying to make sure I got my timing right. Maybe besides Bernie Sanders, she was the first person to come out in support of Medicare for all. Now, she obviously backtracked on that. But at the beginning of the primary, she was like, oh, yeah, Medicare for all. And that was a good sign because there were so many people who were committed to Obamacare that having her say, okay, Medicare for all, I was like, that's a really great sign. But it didn't really hold up. She backtracked, and here we are. So thanks for the call. Let me catch these next callers, 857-600-0518, if you want to join the conversation. Caller, you are live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question?
Oh,
this is you, 219. You're live.
I'm live right now?
Yeah, you're live.
I'm sorry about that. Hey, this is Jose from Maryville, Indiana. You follow me on Twitter.
Okay, what's happening?
Just wanted to shout that out. Thank you. But I just wanted to kind of mention, I've been really thinking hard about what the Democratic establishment was about to do because I knew the VP pick was so important in terms of how they're going to plan for the next elections and in terms of who they're going to put up for president. I really, was just thinking about the long-term effects of having, somebody that is president as a black woman, and I do want a black woman president as well, but I want a progressive black woman. And I just feel like the next elections in 2024, it could be very, very difficult in terms of getting people to come out and support the progressive candidate. And then also looking forward to 2028, it kind of scares me just knowing that we don't have that much time. And so, especially thinking that, the 2028 election, if we lose that as well, do we really have till 2032? You know, the next 10 years. That's kind of like because I'm that young. You know, I'm 26 years old. I'm looking to get into politics myself, and I'm trying to like see how I could where I'm going to be at my, you know, when I'm older. So that's kind of what I was looking at.
Hey, thanks for that call, 857-600-0518. The reason I was like, shit, is because, man, listen, the way I see it, I'm going to be, in 8 years, I'm going to be 48 years old. I'm going to be damn near 50. We don't have that kind of time. Like, I refuse to be 72 years old fighting the same damn fights that we were fighting when I'm 40, man. Something's got to give. Something absolutely has to give. Caller, you're live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question?
This is Endu.
Endu, what's on your mind?
I'm from Maryland. So, it's a couple things. One of the callers, like, I don't know, like maybe 5 callers ago or some shit, was talking about like how they want, how they're going to end up voting for Biden, or how they want people to know how important it is, and you know how they ultimately want them to be successful, and they think that'll kind of force
expose
them to,
or
yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I basically going off that, that's kind of where my head's been at also recently, and also I'd like, you know, if they take over the Senate, keep the House, it kind of puts them in a position where, like, you know, anything they don't do is just like stuff that they, like, it'll be exposed as stuff that they just don't prioritize or that they don't think is important. So it'll hold them accountable in a good way. I mean, I'm in Maryland, like I said, so ultimately I don't know, I'm leaning toward probably voting green, and I don't think it'll matter here, for the presidential level at least. But
cool.
I had a question for you, unrelated to that. So just the way that Trump is always kind of painted as a unique evil, and like I think he sucks, and like everybody. But I guess I was kind of wondering, just looking back at the other candidates that were in the Republican primary back in 2016, like, do you ultimately think that, like, compared to Trump's past like 3.5 years or whatever, like if we had a Ted Cruz or a Jeb Bush or John Kasich or like Rubio or whoever it was, do you think like we would be in a significantly better off position like today? Like, I'll give you maybe like the, I guess, divisiveness of Trump's rhetoric. Like, that's probably like the worst part about it. But like, policy wise, I'm not sure what, you know, ultimately the difference would be there. And I wanted to know what you think.
All right. Thanks for that call. I'll be glad to answer that question. So the truth is, I can't imagine anybody handling COVID-19 as piss poorly as Donald Trump. All right. And I'll be honest with you, like, I'm locked in my house with my kids and my wife, and we're blessed. We have a place. I could work from home. And so we're blessed, but there are a lot of people who are not, and they're in very difficult positions expressly because of Donald Trump. I don't think that's a controversial statement. I don't think that's a statement that's capitulating to corporate Democratic shills. I think that's just a real fucking reality based on what we see around us right now. What we see around us right now is a man who does not give a shit whether you live or die, whether your children live or die. So whereas I do agree that any Republican would have done the same policies that Donald Trump enacted. The 2007 tax bill, that was Paul Ryan's baby. You know, it would have been any Republican that implemented that. I do think that Donald Trump made some decisions that other Republicans would not have made. I think he kept us out of a couple of wars. Like, I think another Republican would have took us into conflict, deeper into conflict in Syria. He didn't. But all of that, none of that matters at this point. I mean, of course, the Syria conflict matters to the Syrians, right? I don't want to belittle that. But we have 167,000 people dead in the United States of America. I guarantee you at least 150,000 of those people would not have died underneath any functional adult who was not more concerned about their fucking ego than they were about people dying. So you could pull a random Republican from history. I do not think they would have had the megalomania that Donald Trump has, the complete obsession to the point where he's made this, I think he has completely exacerbated the number of deaths. So I hope that answers your question. And I don't think that that's a moderate or any kind of point. I think that's just a reality. 2020 has shifted a lot of things, and that's one of them. I've had several people die that I know and I loved, some friends who have died from COVID-19. And it's not a joke. And I just can't afford Trump to have more time to be as stupid as he has been over the last year alone. Just since January, folks. He was bad before, but just since January, he's accelerated his ignorance. So that's the only way I can answer that question. Caller, you are live on the air. What is your name, comment, and or question? Last caller of the night.
Justin from Chicago. So
what's happening, man?
I've got a quick question. You know, you say you understand, like, all of us who supported Bernie and who are progressive consider ourselves socialists, you know, totally understand and don't get angry with people who say, you know what, I just can't force myself to vote for Joe Biden. But then, like you just said, we've got somebody here who is causing the deaths. And we know the Republican Party's nuts and they don't agree with science and they're totally bought and paid for, even worse than the Democrats. But at what point do we have an obligation, if any, to say, you know what, we do have a psychopath here. We have somebody who the other day just took away Congress's tax and spending power by issuing these executive orders. We have somebody who's saying, send your kids back to school now, when we know that this virus could, in all likelihood, give them permanent damage to everybody who survives. And it's, you know, we've had the worst response in the world. I'm more wondering, at what point do progressives and people feel like there should be some type of responsibility that, yeah, we realize Biden sucks, but at the very least we've got somebody who doesn't want you dead. And at what point, and in all seriousness, because listening to your show, you know, you hear a lot of pain. You hear a lot of people who are struggling under Democrats or Republicans, and you understand, exactly how one could feel. It doesn't matter who wins or loses, and we gain our collective strength by not voting. But at what point does this become a unique situation? At what point does this become a situation that is irreconcilable and yeah, we have to do that horrible thing, go the lesser of two evils? Are we at that point? And if so, do we have an obligation as progressives to talk to fellow progressives who are just totally in the mindset of, no, we got to go green. That's how we build our power.
Great question. Thanks for the call. I'll answer it off of the air. Listen, one thing I know is persuasion and the power of persuasion. I know for a fact that the people who have made up their minds that under no circumstances can they vote for Joe Biden, the only thing that's going to change their mind is going to be them. So no amount of badgering them is going to change their mind. I am not changing my position. The number one, and somebody in the comment section said it best, Donald Trump is an active shooter situation. So, and I see it that way because I've had people die and I'm terrified. I have a huge family. 4 of my siblings are teachers. So to me, Donald Trump is an active shooter situation. And to that end, we got to get rid of him. But I also know that the people who have been damaged and harmed and hurt materially by both parties, they got to come up to that conclusion on their own. Like it would not help anyone if I use this platform to yell at people who can't vote for who can't bring themselves to vote for Joe Biden. You guys are doing a good enough job of that on social media. Okay, I'm just gonna be real. Like, not you, the caller, but I'm just talking like, especially on Facebook. Like, if you say you're not voting for Joe Biden on Facebook, you get a legion of Karens and Carls who come into your mentions and just attack you. Okay, so there's enough people out there who are, going person by person by person, trying to make everybody feel guilty who can't vote for Joe Biden. I don't want to vote for Joe Biden, but I'm going to have to vote for Joe Biden because Donald Trump has a gun up to my head. Anybody else who decides they can't do that, that's their prerogative. Now somebody come at me about, Ben, you going to vote for Joe Biden? Yes, because I don't want to die of COVID-19. I don't want you to die of COVID-19. I don't want 250,000 more people to die of COVID-19. And I know Donald Trump's ego is that deranged. But to that end, everybody else, you got to make that decision on your own and convince the people that can be convinced. I just know that the people who have made up their mind based on their convictions that they can't do it, I'm not going to shame them because enough of people out there who are doing it. That's not my role. And because I know the power of persuasion, and you cannot persuade someone who, if you attack them, you can't persuade them if you dig in and you alienate them. You give that person time to make up their own mind, and they either change their mind or they don't. Either way, I'm gonna love them anyway. That's all I got time for, folks. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. We had like 700 people. Go to patreon.com/the BPD show. If you can't become a patron, download the podcast, listen to the commercials on the podcast because, well, they help too. That's it. I'm going to play the opening for the closing, and then I will see you tomorrow.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.